Thank you so much for that, you guys. Hello, everyone. My name is Kayla Kunimoto. I'm your Vice Chairman and MC here at Unity of Tacoma. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing two special someones, Doug Benecke and Sallie Spirit, who are actually going to be providing today's music, the both of them. And Doug will be providing today's Sunday message as well, called Mission Empath-able. So, Doug, could you please start us off with this morning's prayer?
Let us join together in prayer. God, you whom some call Jesus and others call Christ, you whom some call Allah and others call breath, you beyond the captivity of any human name or force, draw near and bless us on our way to finding some piece of you today. Amen.
And our unity affirmation, there is one power, repeat,
There is one power
and one presence
and one presence
in the universe,
in the universe,
in this world,
in this world,
in this church,
in this church,
and in my life.
and in my life.
God, absolute good.
God, absolute good.
We also have a song that you can sing at home. I am free. I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I'm free. I'm unlimited right now. So let's relax into this. It's a real gospel thing. I am free,
I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free. I am unlimited.
right now, right now. I am free,
I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free. I am unlimited right now.
Here we go, give it a try. I am free.
I am free. I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free. I am unlimited. Right now.
Right now, right now, I am free.
I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free. I am unlimited right now. I am free. I am unlimited right now. I hope we are all feeling some measure of that freedom today. It's available to us any moment, whether we believe it or not. But may we come to see it more clearly in each moment of our lives. I'm going to take us back in this message to 1953. When our nation was at war in Korea, when the nuclear arms race was in its early jittery stages, when Joseph McCarthy was persecuting political enemies, and when the Cold War was freezing out visions of a nonviolent planet, it was in that year that a woman named Mildred Ryder began to walk across America. Her walk, she said, was a pilgrimage focused on and inspiring others to think about peace in a world racked by a half-century of industrial warfare. Beginning January 1st of that year, she marched at the head of the Rose Bowl parade in Pasadena, California, positioned to gain maximum exposure, talking to parade goers and giving out pamphlets for peace. She then began walking east, traveling on foot and on faith to Washington, D.C. and to New York. And as her journey commenced, she ceased to be, for all intents and purposes, Mildred Ryder. She carried all her worldly possessions with her. Her possessions, which were so few, and she shed her name along with almost all her belongings, while on a blue tunic she constantly wore was printed the name she would be known by thereafter, Peace Pilgrim. Maybe you've heard of her. Peace Pilgrim walked across the United States and back continually between 1953, when she was 44 years old, until her death in 1981. In 1964, after walking 25,000 miles, she stopped counting. She wore children's sneakers, by the way, averaging about 1,500 miles a pair. On the back of her tunic was printed, "Walking coast to coast for peace." And these possessions she took with her consisted of a toothbrush, a comb, a pen, a map, and some leaflets she would pass out to those she met. She never carried money with her as she walked and did not accept money. She never asked anyone for food or for shelter. There were times when Peace Pilgrim slept in a haystack or a barn or on the roadside. There were days, sometimes more than days, when she didn't eat. She said once, "I never had to skip more than 4 meals in a row." That means, let's say, you had breakfast this morning before church, and your next meal is dinner tomorrow. When she was hosted for a meal and offered more food to take with her, she would decline, saying she didn't carry food. She was a 20th century saint, a holy woman perhaps, someone with an extraordinary vision and mission. And the question I have for all of us today is this: do you have a vision for how you want to spend your life? And has that vision translated into a mission, something that sustains you? Peace Pilgrim is my inspiration for focusing on these questions today. And let me tell you a little more about her. Born in New Jersey in 1908 to a close-knit, extended family, Mildred, or Mill as she was known, was the valedictorian of her high school class and then worked as a secretary in her small town. She had a great interest in theater, writing plays and directing them at the local Grange. At that time, in the 20s, she was a bit of a flapper and liked dressing up and driving her own car. She fell into a troubled marriage with a man her family didn't approve of, and there are reports of a great deal of strife between them. Evidently, he was an attractive but unprincipled rogue, and they had many clashes around values. At age 30, Mildred reached a personal turning point when, at a time of great turmoil, she tells us, "I walked all one night through the woods. I came to a moonlit glade and prayed. I felt a complete willingness, without any reservations, to give my life, to dedicate my life to service. Please use me," I prayed to God, and a great peace came over me. I tell you, it's a point of no return. After that, you can never go back to completely self-centered living. Those are all words from an interview she gave. She said that she began to live to give instead of living to get. And she spent the next 15 years preparing for something. She did not know quite what. Getting rid of unnecessary possessions and meaningless activities. One thing that happened in that period is that she and her husband divorced. He joined the army in World War II, and she did not want to support war. As I've read about Peace Pilgrim, I've been struck by the parallels to another great soul. When you read Albert Schweitzer's autobiography, it states, "On a bright summer morning, I awoke with the thought that my own good fortune was not to be taken as something self-evident. In peaceful reflection, while the birds were singing, I decided, before I got up, that I would be justified in devoting myself until I was 30 to science and art, in order to give myself thereafter in direct services to humanity." This is when Schweitzer was 21 years old. "It was not yet clear to me what the exact nature of the activities I planned would be, but one thing was certain. However insignificant it might appear, the goal must be direct service to humanity." Like Peace Pilgrim, Schweitzer had this calling. This moment when a new vision seized him and had a sense that he must be of service. From the vision came his mission, which I have spoken about in many churches and will happily talk about with this church sometime. For he too found himself living to give rather than to get. Schweitzer was a famous person even before he started his hospital in Equatorial Africa. He was already well known as a scholar, theologian, and musician. And even before she became Peace Pilgrim, Mildred Ryder had done something unique and memorable that perhaps would still be talked about. For in 1952, she became the first woman to ever walk the entire Appalachian Trail in one season. In the late summer of that trek, she seems to have reached a decision point as to how to begin her mission. In her words, "The inspiration for the pilgrimage came at this time. I sat high upon a hill, the day before I had slipped out of harmony, and the evening before I had thought to God, it seems to me that if I could always remain in harmony, I could be of greater usefulness. When I awoke at dawn, I was back on the spiritual mountaintop with a wonderful feeling. I knew that for me the struggle was over, that I had succeeded in finding inner peace, a point of no return. I felt a strong inner motivation toward the pilgrimage for peace. I saw myself walking along and wearing the garb of my mission. I saw a map with the large cities marked. I knew what I was to do. And that was a vision of my first year's pilgrimage route in 1953. I entered a new and wonderful world. My life was blessed with a meaningful purpose. I remember seeing an old friend when I was in my 50s, someone I had known in high school, and he had spent a career working for the post office. And I asked him, had he thought of doing something different? And he said, "I never saw that blinding flash of light." Perhaps many of us never see that blinding flash of light, but perhaps we don't look or don't ask for that vision. How many of us feel our life is blessed with a meaningful purpose? How often do we feel we are in harmony with God so that we are of greater usefulness? How often do we feel instead, perhaps, that we have slipped out of harmony with the sacred? These questions are fruit for reflection for each one of us, for I am fairly certain that very few of us have that drive and spiritual alignment of a peace pilgrim or a Schweitzer. I'm struck by the fact that Peace Pilgrim spent 15 years in preparation for her life work, ridding herself of possessions and stopping activities that were not helpful to others. If what you're doing will not benefit others besides yourself, she once wrote, it is not worth doing. I'm afraid most of us do not live our lives with this kind of ideal burning at our core, let alone preparing for a mission of great selflessness. I know I don't, not consistently, but I also know that I am drawn to that light. I suspect that many of us do have a sense of mission, but it's based not so much on a vision that we consciously sought and prayed for, as on needs that we unconsciously feel and feed throughout our lives. In what I'm going to say next, I am not in any way trying to discount the enlightened state of the souls of my fellow congregants. It may well be that I've written all of this only to wake myself up, and that at some point you will collectively gather round when I finally become just a little more self-aware and say, "Oh, here you are, Doug, we've been waiting for you." But for any of us who are less than totally self-realized, It seems to me that our sense of mission could be described the way Russell Brand talks about recovery. He says, if you're not working a conscious program of recovery, then an unconscious program is working you. I think that describes all our lives at times. Whether we're trying to recover from some kind of addiction or not, we all have a sense of mission if we only look closely enough in our own hearts. It's just that if our sense of mission is not a conscious one, then it may well be that an unconscious mission is trying to be accomplished through us. We may be desperate to have more money because we grew up without it and never felt like we had enough. We're on a money mission. We may yearn deeply for our mother's love because she was missing, unavailable, depressed, even abusive to us. We then look all over the world as we grow and journey to find that missing heart peace, that security that we never got. Our whole life is a mother mission. Of course, a father's love and strength and guiding hand may well also be a missing piece in our life. And we may ever be on a quest for that. Winston Churchill, in an interview, after he essentially saved Britain and Western civilization in World War II, said that he only regretted that his father hadn't lived to see him make something of himself. The adoration of all of Western civilization would not replace the father-shaped hole in his heart. It's almost never the case that we'll get support from all we know and meet if we embrace a divine mission. What I'm calling our mission empath-able. Peace Pilgrim once said, "When I started out, my hair had started to turn to silver. My friends thought I was crazy. There was not one word of encouragement from them. They thought I would surely kill myself walking all over. But they didn't know that with inner peace I felt plugged into the source of a universal energy which never runs out." In the same way, when Schweitzer's friends found out that at age 30 he was giving up his tenured academic position and thriving music career to study medicine and go to Africa, they told him, "Oh yes, go right to the medical school, but your first stop right there should be to see a psychiatrist. What is wrong with you?" When we plug into mission empath-able, we will not always be understood. But the wisdom of this world is foolishness in God's eyes, and in ignoring the guidance of a sacred calling to fit in with the values of our friends and our culture, we most certainly will be led astray. We who are gathered here today are householders, and a necessary part of each of our missions is that of keeping the lights on and the roof mended. This is a legitimate path we walk, and also maybe a blessed path for those of us tied to that Dharma. Those of us who may not find the freedom to wander this world without a penny, to sleep in barns or haystacks. We may not feel free to divest ourselves of nearly all our possessions, save a toothbrush, a tunic, and some kids' sneakers. I'm told that the great Swami Satchidananda told his renunciates that their path was easy compared to that of a householder who has to grapple with all the normal struggles of life. But we can, I believe, take on our lives as a mission. Not mission critical or mission desperate, but truly mission empath-able, in which we live to serve others, in which we live to spread peace. Our lives, whether as householders or sadhus, will never be entirely free of challenges or struggles. We are in the midst of a massive testing time right now, and I surely miss meeting in person all the church members we see only by video, for one thing, and I'm saddened by the losses we are all facing and will continue to face. But to quote Peace Pilgrim again, some people wish for a life of no problems, but I would never wish such a life for any of you. I would never wish such a life for any of you. What I wish for you, she said, is the great inner strength to solve your problems meaningfully and grow. Problems are learning and growing experiences. A life without problems would be a barren existence, without the opportunity for spiritual growth. I must give you just a few more of Peace Pilgrim's marvelous quotes. She also said, if you give your life as a prayer, you intensify the prayer beyond all measure. She wasn't a member of Unity, but she sounds like she was friends with the Fillmores, doesn't she? She said as well, if you realized how powerful your thoughts are, you would never think a negative thought. And also, I don't eat junk foods, and I don't think junk thoughts. Doesn't that make you want to be like her in some small way? I found it a happy and uplifting experience to spend time reading about Peace Pilgrim, and I want to mention, if you're not familiar with her, that many of her interviews and talks were transcribed and published. You can find so much of her words and her consciousness on the web. So do just search under Peace Pilgrim. You'll be glad you did. We all have our own mission, or perhaps multiple missions. The problems we face are the training school, perhaps, for the next chapter for each of us. No matter what we do, our actions may truly be prayer if we are plugged into that universal energy source. And let us also remember how powerful our thoughts are. Let us live our lives as prayers. Let us live to give instead of living to get. Let us walk with Schweitzer, with Peace Pilgrim, and with all those who live their lives as a sacred trust on foot and on faith. And let us never stray from giving ourselves over to our mission empath-able. are with me as I find my way home. You are with me as I find my way home. You are with me as I find my way home. Wherever these words and this music finds you, we are all on our way home. Breath by breath. Let us use this time right now to return to that sacred space within, to that hearth of the heart, to that presence living within each of us, the living flame of Christ. Please allow each breath to bring with it the remembrance of that connection, so that with each passing breath we feel more in tune and more in harmony with the Spirit of the living God. Exhaling all that is not God and continuing to inhale that peace, that vision, that sense of mission, that living to give Spirit. Let us take some time together, breath by breath, feeling that presence and reigniting the flame of our mission within. Eternal indwelling Spirit, may we feel your presence today and each day. And may we align our hearts with you so that our mission is your will and your way. Amen. We're trying to align our musical mission with the gods of harmony here to get more fully in tune with that sacred realm.
imagination made this nation. It is the reason why you can fly to the moon and far beyond, and you know why. You can be anything you want to if you try. You can fly. You can fly. Wendy, you don't have to be a mother to a fleet of lonely boys. But you can be a friend to anyone who's your enemy right now. Being brave and fearless doesn't mean
You got to make a lot of noise.
Davy Crockett grinned at a bear, and you can do it too if you just learn how. You can fly to the moon and far beyond, and you know why. You can be anything you want to if you try. You can fly. You can
Thank you so much, Doug and Sallie, for that beautiful music and message. I loved it so, so much.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I have some last few announcements. I'll give a quick benediction, and then Doug and Sallie will sign us off with one last song. So, if you haven't heard so already, Unity of Tacoma has a little shop now. 100% of all profits go back to providing Unity the ability to provide you guys these amazing guest speakers and musicians that we have. So if you'd like, you can go check it out at unityoftacoma.org. From there, you'll see a button saying support Unity of Tacoma, and then you'll see our shop. So another reminder for the members of Unity of Tacoma, we have our annual meeting today at noon. So members, please check your emails for that Zoom invite. And then for next week, we have our guest speaker, Lori Irwin Johnson, who's going to be giving a variation of the White Stone ceremony. So before that Sunday, go out and find yourself a stone to use for that. So thank you again for joining us this Sunday. Now for a benediction. We are here now, far apart, but together. If you know your purpose in this life, may it grow brighter and stronger as you reach it. And if you aren't so sure what that is right now, may Spirit help you look within yourself and find it, because it is there, waiting for you. May our individual missions spread love and joy to the world we are in now. Amen.
Amen. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it
Begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, of God enfolds us.
The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, all